I have the privilege of sitting down with our next speaker to just hear her inspiring story of overcoming. Pro surfer Bethany Hamilton. Hi, Bethany. Thank you so much for joining our convention. It's such an honor to have this opportunity to hear from you.
Aloha, everyone. I hope you're having a beautiful day. And yeah, it's an honor to be here.
Thanks, Bethany. So can you just start by telling us your story?
Yeah, so I was born and raised here in Hawaii. Grew up on the island of Kauai with my parents and my two older brothers, who kind of spurred on my love for the ocean and surfing. And I grew up kind of like one of those kids with a really knack and talent for riding waves, and kind of started to dream young and really like look for my future on my own. And thankfully I had the support of my parents, and that kind of led into doing really well with my competitive amateur career. In Hawaii, it's kind of a big deal. Like surfing, it's bigger than, it may be in other places. So yeah, it was just looking really positive. And then when I was about 13 years old, I lost my arm to a shark, and my whole life came to a halt, and everything felt upside down and turned around. And I just really didn't know what my future held in that moment. And I can remember being in the hospital and just having that like moment of realization, like, this is the new me. I have one arm and I don't know what's next. But I think one thing that kept me strong was my faith in God, and just knowing that I had a unique sense of peace that God was in control, and that kind of kept me calm during that time and hopeful. And same for my family. And as time went on, I got a spurt of hope to get back in the ocean and continue surfing less than a month later. I don't know why I was in such a rush, but got back out there. And that kind of led from one thing to another, kind of led me to continue my love for riding waves. And I eventually, 2 years later, won the national championship Explorer Women's final, which led to a professional career. And so much more than just surf, though. Just being able to share my story in unique ways and remind people, we all go through really tough, dark times. And so being able to push through those and find our hope and light and our positivity to carry on and live our best life.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I love how when you first had the shark attack, there was an interviewer that asked you, like, do you think you're ever going to surf again? And then your response was, I think? No, I know I'm going to surf again.
I
It's just been,
know.
yeah, it's so
I was
incredible.
I was kind of like a cocky, confident little one. I think that was an advocate for me at the time, just believing that I could and being willing to kind of dream beyond what may be perceived as possible. And yeah, before I even got in the water, I was on a mission, determined to get back out there. And yeah, I think a lot of that determination has continued on with me into my adult life, into all the different challenges that I face now as a mom, a wife. I own my own business, and it's just a lot to manage sometimes. And then on top of that, the world being a bit crazy right now. So just being able to find our peace in the midst of chaos, I think we're all kind of seeking after that. And also being able to find our courage and our determination too.
Yeah, and you mentioned peace, and I know that you've also been a huge advocate for talking about how faith has played a role in your journey of overcoming. Can you share with us more about that?
Yeah, so ever since I was young, I believed in God. I think my parents kind of raised me in my faith, but then it kind of became my own at a pretty young age. And I really look at, especially when I lost my arm, like I can only attribute my peace to God. Like it's hard for me to even understand my 13-year-old self and how calm I was about everything and how kind of at peace I was with the loss of my arm and just all the challenges that I was to face growing up. And I always refer to this verse, I think it's 1 John 16:33. In me you will have peace. In the world you will have trouble. But take heart, I have overcome the world. And I love that verse because it's honest and it's true that like in this world we're going to have trouble regardless of, how hard we try to avoid that and how, even if we do our best at every little thing we work towards, it's inevitable. So being able to find our hope beyond ourselves and trust that like ultimately God's in control of all the chaos and the challenges and the pain that we face, and that we can heal through all of that and continue to grow and become stronger and be an encourager to those around us.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I recently just watched your movie Unstoppable. I encourage everyone to go watch it if you haven't yet. It is awesome, very inspiring. And in it, you talk about how you envisioned this map in your house that would be filled with like pins of all the spots that you would go on to surf in, kind of like this mental vision board. And so, how important has it been for you to have a vision for your goals?
Yes, I've always been like kind of a dreamer, but beyond that, like really dreaming up my future, but also like a go-getter too. And I think being able to kind of get organized and, first dream it up, but then like find steps and create steps and time to, walk towards those goals. And one piece of advice I recently got was just to write down your goal every day. Or in my case, I often will just pray about it every day. So going to bed or waking up, depending on when I have the energy, I'll just like think on whatever the goals that I have, either short term or long term, and just keeping them at the forefront of our mind. And then from there, making the time to reach towards them. And another kind of thing I found with goal reaching is just community and always being teachable and adaptable, especially with one arm. I think living life with one arm taught me a lot about adapting. And I think the world's constantly changing, so we got to constantly adapt with it. And doesn't mean we have to let go of our values or a virtuous life, but we focus on, okay, how can we adapt with this new world, so to say.
And I love how you have not only like set out to be a champion surfer, but you just continue to set new goals for yourself, whether it's going on to the next competition or motherhood or even surfing Jaws. That's amazing. And you've also used your platform for just doing a lot of good, really helping people. And so how do you hope to inspire others with your story?
Oh man, that was another thing. I think even I look at my 13-year-old self and I saw the opportunity to share hope. And it started right there in the hospital. Once I started walking around, I would like walk around and visit different patients in the hospital. And that was my first reminder of like, whoa, like maybe I'll be able to inspire others through my story. And even though I don't know what that looks like, I was willing to be open to that. And that kind of led to eventually I wrote my book. And I loved hearing stories of young, they're usually a letter from moms, but their kids who had never read a book would like pick up my book, Soul Surfer, and read it from cover to back. And that just made me so happy. And just hearing stories of people kind of finding hope and encouragement through their dark times. And that also kind of led to making a nonprofit and working with different nonprofits like Make-A-Wish, where I would take young kids surfing who were potentially fighting for their lives and just kind of love on them and encourage them. And that just became a theme of my life. And I grew a passion for helping others. And just like all of you, you get to help people through nutrition. And I think our country needs that more than ever right now. to be inspired to live healthy lives. And so, we can inspire beyond nutrition. We can inspire others to have a healthy mindset and a healthy family life, and just work at all these different little areas that we may have weak points, but who's to say we can't change those? And even in my young years, I have this quote that I still live by, and it's, "I don't need easy, I just need possible." I think so often when life feels really overwhelming or stressful and just like, just hard, like, we just got to remember we just need possible, and we can push through those pain points and, find time to just care for ourselves so that we can go and love those around us better and, be an encourager in this world.
Well said. And speaking of possible, like I know in your journey, a lot of people, they doubted that you'd even be able to surf again. Even your mother didn't see surfing as a possibility for you just with one arm, even though I know she's been a big encourager in your life. And I'm sure there were a lot of people who were just cautioning you out of like love and probably a little fear. How did you stay positive and stay encouraged to persevere during those times?
Oh my goodness. Definitely being grateful was a huge advocate for my ability to push through and keep going, moving forward and continue surfing. And I remember being in the hospital and just having that deep sense of like, I'm thankful to be alive. I could have very well died. And gratitude to this day is key, I think. Those days when personally as a mom, some days aren't always the best and they're not always easy. And so just finding your place of gratitude is so key. And it's definitely been a theme and just a part of my life that's helped me carry through. And, along with that, that was part of my mom's encouragement to me, was just being thankful, and we would pray and just thank God for whatever we could think of to be thankful for. And I recently heard from a friend of mine during this kind of time of challenge in our world of 2020. They created a big whiteboard, and every day they write down something they're grateful for, and they just keep adding to that whiteboard. And I just love that idea of like, then you can see all the things you've been grateful for over the last lifetime. And then you don't forget, because sometimes I think we just need that encouragement of like, yes, there's so much to be thankful for. And that was another thing, is just like the people around me encouraged me so much. And I got my first hint of hope from a guy by the name of Mike Coots, who lost his leg to a shark, and he continued surfing as well. And he was the first person that was like, hey, I think you can surf with one arm. And then once I got back out there, then my mom jumped on the bandwagon and she was cheering me on all she could. But that was just her natural nature, is more cautious, even though she was a total surfer girl, but in her years, but she's more of like a cautious nature. So, but once she saw that I could surf, she knew she couldn't keep me out of there.
I bet. Yeah, I was so impressed, like getting to watch your movie and just seeing, even I know myself when I'm surfing, like duck diving with two arms is tough, but I can only imagine learning how to duck dive with one arm, getting under those waves, even just to get out there.
Yeah. It
Um,
takes a lot of adaptability, that's for sure.
yeah. And how has nutrition played a role in your journey?
Yeah, well, thankfully, I got really into my nutrition in my late teen years. I think just being a surfer and an athlete and being really serious with it, I wanted to support myself in all the ways I could. So I kind of began my own journey of learning about health and educating myself. And that kind of steered me in the direction of just eating healthy and focusing on my nutrition and overall health. I mean, beyond nutrition, but it was cool because it kind of has a domino effect. It's encouraged my whole family to be more healthy, and then eventually when I met my husband, it encouraged him, and now we get to raise healthy kids. So it's really important to me, and I love being able to inspire others to live healthy as well.
Very nice. And I'm excited for you to try our NeoLife products. I know you haven't gotten to try them yet.
Yes,
Um,
me too. I can't wait.
awesome. And so, what would you say to anyone who's listening today who's in the midst of just overcoming a big challenge in their own lives?
Yeah, I think there's so many times in life when we are facing extreme stress and adversity and things that can really shake us to the core. I think when we equip ourselves with a healthy mindset, an adaptable mindset, a life of gratitude, nutritional support, all these things can cheer us on in the right direction. Each day we can approach each day with adapting, learning, surrounding ourselves with our community that cheers us on and people that are going to bring the best out of us. And we can truly stand up to the pressures that are thrown at us on a daily basis. And we can overcome any obstacle and live truly unstoppable. So I hope this encourages you all and know that you too can be an overcomer and face all the things we're facing today in this world and be a light to those around you.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for inspiring us all. It's just been an absolute blessing to spend this time with you. So thank you, Bethany. Really
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Sandra, and thank you, NeoLife.